What actually makes a summer barbecue unhealthy? Because I don't think that has to be the case personally. Hey there, everyone. This is Allie Virtue, the host of the Pre-Diet Podcast and functional medicine nutritionist and owner of Parkside Nutrition. Welcome to the episode. Today, we are talking about barbecues without the bloat, how to enjoy your summer cookouts without derailing your health goals. So let's set the scene. It's warm, it's sunny, friends, family, smoky grills, table full of food, maybe even multiple tables. And then the food guilt sets in. We've had a lot. We wanted to try this. We wanted to sample that. We had to try grandma's cookies or our cousin's, favorite fruit salad or something like that. Then later we have the big energy crash, that big kind of feeling of like, oh, I eat too much. That feeling starts to creep in. Well, today's episode is about ditching the guilt and the grazing and learning how to feel good at your next barbecue, both body and mind. So first of all, I want to talk about what actually makes a summer barbecue unhealthy, because I don't think that has to be the case personally. So the common pitfalls is mindless grazing, chips, dips, little bites here and there, just add up fast. And we're there usually hanging out for a really long time. So it just adds up to a lot of tasty food and a lot of food that just doesn't typically have breaks built in. And when I say that, and when I say food has no breaks, it's usually food that's generally processed. It's not that the processing is that much of the problem. It's more of like it's engineered or created. The recipe is designed to kind of light up our taste buds and taste really good and sell a lot of food, right? That's the goal of the product, the food product. And that's usually in the way of high fat, high salt, high sugar, something that really tastes delicious and gets us going back for more and more. Whole food doesn't have this factor as much. If you think about a steak is delicious and yeah, we can overeat on it, but there's a limit. It doesn't have that uncontrollable element. So let's just keep that in mind when we are at these settings. Like we just know that it's really easy to overeat. So we need to be extra mindful. We need to be extra mindful of what that food is made out of. So another common pitfall is that it's easy to overdo it on the carbs. We have burger buns, we have chips, we have pasta salad, we have baked beans, we have fruit, we have desserts. That can easily make up the bulk of the menu, and there's not a lot of protein if we're having just that. Now, obviously, there's protein options, and we'll make sure that our protein options are present and accounted for. But let's just be aware of that. It's really easy to overcarb our meal. The next one is fat bombs. Unless you track your food, you likely don't know how much fat is in certain foods. And again, let's leave behind the good, the bad, whatever labels. Let's just learn. Mayo is full of fat. Is it always unhealthy? No. If you eat a bucket of it, yeah, it's too much. But let's just learn what our food is made out of, and then you can make better decisions. So a couple common things that do tend to be higher in fat. Mayo. That could also be slaws. So like coleslaw, delicious. Some veggies, yes, but usually most recipes are going to have a lot of mayo and have a lot of calories to go with it. Bacon wrapped anything. I love bacon wrapped dates, but let's be mindful of the portion. Ribs soaked in sugary barbecue sauce. Now, if we're not drenching them in barbecue sauce, I don't really worry about this too much. Yes, you could get a sugar-free one. Some people don't like the fake sugars. That's totally fine. I think either option is fine if we're just using a moderate amount and our overall plate is balanced. And lastly, the guilt spiral that goes along with this stuff. So you eat something that's a little bit off plan and you think you've derailed your entire day, week, month, entire healthy living agenda. That's not the case. It is just one day, one meal. Yeah, sure, you can really mess it up, but let's just learn from that and try better or do better the next day. Don't let it be a big deal. You don't need to be perfect in these situations. If anything, I just want clients to be a little bit better because these scenarios are hard not to overeat on. So just think about, previous years where you may have severely overeaten and just been really, really uncomfortable. We're trying to not repeat that same story this year. So you might not hit it perfectly. You're probably not going to hit your macros if you're tracking macros in this particular setting. By all means, go for it if you want to and if you feel like you're able to. But the goal is just to be a little bit better. And honestly, if we define our goals at the beginning, and usually that's like, I want to feel good. I don't want to feel guilty. I don't want to feel too stuffed, etc. If that's our goal, that is doable. That is 100% doable without needing to hit our macros. We just need to be mindful and not overeat quite as much. So make sure you're defining your goal for yourself in that moment. Next, I want to talk about some healthier barbecue menu options that still taste amazing. We don't have to sacrifice flavor. You might have to cook outside the box a little bit, try something new, but the flavors can still definitely hit the spot. So first of all, let's talk about our protein-packed mains. So this is probably easy in a barbecue. We have grilled chicken skewers. You can do salmon burgers, turkey burgers, beef burgers, maybe just get a leaner cut. Shrimp kebabs would be great in like foil packets, and you can definitely stuff in some vegetables on those kebabs or skewers. That would work fantastic. Shrimp is also going to be super, super lean. So if there is a fattier dish or high calorie thing that you really want to enjoy, let's make shrimp our protein. That would really help us out. If you want a plant-based option, we can absolutely do like marinated tofu or veggie burgers. That is totally a great option as well to hit our protein goals. The next part of our meals is usually colorful vegetables, colorful plants of some sort. So this could be a veggie tray if you like raw veggies. This could be a cucumber tomato salad with olive oil and vinegar. This could be a cauliflower kind of potato salad, or at least mixing in some steamed cauliflower with our potato salad. So we bring the starch down, we bring the overall calories down a little bit, and your same recipe can still work. We're just adding a little bit more veggies into that recipe. We can also do a simple coleslaw, but this time instead of all mayo in our recipe, we could substitute some plain Greek yogurt and using our same like vinegar dressing. That could work really well. It's going to boost the protein, it's going to cut the calories, and hopefully keep a similar taste. As far as appetizers or light dips, hummus or a Greek yogurt with like the ranch powder packs to give us that same good flavor, plus a bunch of raw vegetables. We could have guacamole and jicama or sliced bell peppers. We could have watermelon and mint skewers. Those are delicious, so refreshing to have on hand. Air popped popcorn or crunchy chickpeas for munching. And as far as desserts, there's a ton of options, so you don't need to go without. One, I'm a big fan of just practicing moderation. So if there is your favorite dessert there, just practice having it in a smaller amount than you normally would. If we want a quote healthier dessert option, grilled peaches or pineapple with cinnamon could be an option. Some dark chocolate squares with berries, some protein pudding cups or frozen banana nice cream. Frozen banana nice cream is basically just chopped up frozen bananas. You got to chop them up first and then you freeze them and then you blend them, preferably with a protein powder that has a lot of good flavor. And it basically tastes like ice cream. It's so delicious. But we have a protein in there. The texture of the frozen banana gives it that ice cream-like flavor. You could also add like Greek yogurt to it as well for a little bit more protein if you want to. But that is a great option as well. Actually, my personal favorite is usually just cream, whipped cream, some variety of that. Cool Whip. They have a coconut milk one as well, Cocoa Whip. That's fairly moderate in calories and carbs and all that. And that with just berries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries is one of my favorite things. It's light, it's not too overly filling. It really hits the spot. All right, next I want to talk about how to balance traditional barbecue foods without going off the rails. So you might be thinking, Allie, that menu sounds fine, but my family always makes XYZ traditional dishes. Well, let's talk about them and how we can kind of balance them out a little bit. So number one is probably going to be burgers and buns. Classic, right? Well, the meat can be higher in fat if we don't get like leaner burgers. We know that. White bun, a lot of carbs, zero fiber. So what can we do with that? We want to switch the meat. We could go with a ground turkey or a leaner beef. That's a great option. We could do a lettuce wrap. I'm usually a fan of just like a bunless burger or making like a burger salad. And a burger salad is simply just a little bit of greens, but mostly all your favorite burger toppings and making a salad out of that. So pickles, tomatoes, things like that, a vinaigrette dressing. Shoot, you could even throw a fried egg on there if you wanted to. But that is delicious. That, if you really like the buns, I would go with a half a bun. And that is a pretty good portion size. That's pretty reasonable to mix in with other things. But I find the bun just fills us up, adds a bunch of carbs, doesn't give us a lot of like yum factor personally. But that's just my 2 cents. Hot dogs. This one is hard. I recently went to a grocery store and tried to find a quote healthier hot dog. And if you got one, please by all means leave a comment, send me a DM on social media, email, whatever. Let me know because it is hard to find like a true hot dog that's quote like healthier. Usually they're honestly not that high in protein. They're super high in fat. Processed meat, sometimes they're really not great. You can try to find a chicken sausage one or something along those lines, but I haven't seen too many like true hot dogs that are that wonderful. Pasta salad. This is a classic one. We know it's heavy in mayo, so high fat, has pasta in it, so high carb. So it's just high calorie, high fat. Not really any mysteries there. You could use a chickpea-based pasta or lentil pasta. That's going to have more fiber. It's going to be potentially a little bit lower in calories. It's not going to be a low-calorie food by any means, but it's definitely going to have a lot more protein, which is nice. And you can use olive oil plus vinegar to kind of flavor it. And you can also stuff it full of a lot more vegetables as well. So just change the ratio with that one. That would be super helpful and make sure there's more veggies than pasta. Chips and dip. We already touched on this one. Easy to overeat. little nutrition involved. So just be mindful about that. You could also, have some dip with veggies instead of chips. That would be great. But honestly, I don't feel like this is the most delicious thing on the menu. It's kind of just to keep people busy. So just keep that in mind and maybe try to stay focused on the good stuff coming up. Barbecue ribs, typically a little higher in fat. Sugary sauce potentially. I would just keep the portions moderate, 2 to 3 ribs, eat mindfully, mix in some leaner proteins either at that meal or other parts of the day or the days following. And obviously make sure that we still have some vegetables on our plate too. But nothing, I don't think that's unreasonable. They're delicious. Baked beans, my gosh, this is nostalgic for me. So I definitely love these. They are higher in sugar. The sauce usually has sugar in it. And in addition, beans are a higher starchy food. They have some protein, but not a ton. So I would just make sure that I have plenty of veggies on my plate when I'm enjoying these. Potato salad, another classic. Again, lots of mayo, generally higher calorie stuff, so let's just moderate our portions. If you want to, you can use Greek yogurt instead of some of the mayo in the recipe, or a vinaigrette. That's not going to add a lot of calories. You can also add, it's probably got chopped eggs, but lots of herbs to add a lot of flavor to it as well. You can increase a little bit of the veggies that are in there, like celery and onions and things like that. But again, mostly just moderating the portions and making sure I got plenty of non-starchy veggies on my plate and a good source of protein too. Because this is higher in carbs, higher in fat, I would probably have it towards the end of my meal and make sure I'm getting some salad or some non-starchy veggies first and my protein first before this. And desserts, you name it. I mean, I'm not even going to try to name the classics, probably like things like pies, cookies, cake, brownies, sugary drinks also kind of count in that area. They're just high sugar, higher carb type of things. So just keep those in mind and really make sure that we are trying to have those at the end of our meal, still around mealtime, because if I'm truly full and probably not going to be hungry in the next couple hours, let's just have that dessert with the meal, and that's going to better balance my blood sugar. Obviously, if you are absolutely stuffed, don't feel the need to have dessert, honestly. Maybe you can take some home, have it the next day, because I don't want you to feel too overly stuffed. It just doesn't feel good. All right, next is how to build a balanced plate at a barbecue. So we just talked about some of those traditional meals and how to kind of balance them out. Let's stick to our basic plate framework, right? So our body requirements don't change. Our cravings change a little bit. I still want a source of protein, ideally something that adds up to 30 or 40 grams, so at least 4 ounces of a serving. This could be a mix too, right? Like we talked about, maybe there's shrimp skewers on offer, maybe there's ribs, maybe there's a burger. So feel free to mix and match if you want. I mean, there's probably lots of things that are delicious and protein based on offer, so don't feel locked into one specific one. Obviously, if you're tracking macros, that would be a little bit easier, but try a variety, but let's aim for a total of at least 4 ounces if you're an average female. But honestly, I'm a dead on average female and probably have closer to 5-ish ounces. So keep that in mind. And then next on my list is fiber and color. So our grilled vegetables, our raw veggie salads, some fruit like berries, things like that will be great. And I want this to be as close to half the plate as possible would be great. Next is our carb options. So think this is our pasta salads, our desserts, our chips, our potato salad, things like that. So let's try to keep that as best we can. I know this is going to make me really unpopular, but about quarter of the plate or less. Just try to get a taste of everything, but we don't necessarily need a serving of every type of thing. That is going to fill us up way too much, most likely. Then after that, if we need any dressings or sauces, just be mindful of those. Most of the time, it's like 1 or 2 tablespoons. So that hopefully can give you a good visual as far as like how much salad dressing I'm adding, because a lot of these meals are probably going to be a little higher in fat than we probably think. And my number one rule when it comes to nutrition, eating to feel good, is eating mindfully. Sit down, chew your food thoroughly. One of my best tips for these types of social occasions is serving yourself on a plate. Make that commitment to yourself of like, whatever I'm going to eat, I'm going to serve it on a plate, because then I have a good visual. Literally, we can put all of our eyeballs on all the food that we're eating on that plate. So you can see if I've filled up my plate 2 times now, logically, visually, I'm probably full. Versus if I'm grazing all the time, then I am likely to keep eating because it feels like I've just had a couple bites here and there. So really try to serve yourself on a plate. It's also a great barrier. And when we're trying to do different habits, trying to cut out bad habits, trying to add good habits, etc., we want good habits to be easy. So a good example of this could be bringing something that you know might not be on the menu. So if you know there's not likely to be a salad there or a healthier dessert option or something like that, like bring it. That makes that good action easier. For bad habits, let's put a barrier in front of it. So grazing, instead of grazing and grabbing whatever we want and just taking a bite, we're going to make sure that we get a plate. And that way we at least are mindful of what we're putting on our plate. We have barriers there. So again, just making those bad habits a little bit harder. Lastly is just overall general hydration and fueling ourselves throughout the day. I don't really like going into these things stuffed or starved. Some people, and I say that because some people will either eat ahead of time, so they're not eating at the party, which, if you choose to do that, fine. But I think we can still definitely participate in these types of events. I think we can definitely eat in a way that allows us to still take part in the experience without overeating. So I do think it's something we need to practice. So don't go in stuffed, don't feed yourself too much already, and don't go in starved. So I don't think fasting necessarily or coming into these things super, super hungry is a great idea either, because we're going to have lower discipline at that point. If I'm absolutely starving and you put me in, a giant buffet, like it's going to be really hard to moderate our intake. So still eat smart the rest of the day, hydrate in between meals like you normally would, and just take good care of yourself. That's the main goal. If we do that, we don't need guilt. And lastly, I almost forgot one more thing. A word of caution, something that people don't necessarily think about too much when it comes to summer barbecues, buffets, family events with food. But as someone who's studied nutrition for a long time, this is always in the back of my head once you learn a little bit about food safety. So don't let bacteria be the uninvited guest at summer barbecues. So here are a couple food safety tips for you. Think of that 2-hour rule. Hot or cold, food should not sit out for longer than 2 hours. If it's over 90 degrees Fahrenheit outside, hello, summer, very likely to be that scenario, right? That time drops to 1 hour. After that, bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli start throwing their own party, and no one wants that. They start absolutely proliferating at a fantastic rate for them, but not good for us. So for hot foods like grilled meats, we need to keep them at 140 degrees or above. So using warming trays or something like that, keeping them warm on the grill is a great option. For cold foods, we need to keep them cold, like slaws, fruit salad, pasta salad. Another option for the colder foods is you can refill smaller portions from the bigger portions instead of leaving the entire batch of the cold dish out all afternoon. Just refill it as needed so you're keeping the majority of that dish cold. Lastly, set a timer. Put a timer on your phone, put a sticky out as a reminder in the kitchen or for someone else to see that says, hey, put food away at 3 p.m. This is not only a good food safety tip, but this also, one, hopefully leaves us with some leftovers so we can have a little bit of meal prep out of the situation or something to take home, but also cuts down on the time that we're able to graze and potentially overeat. Lastly, if you do have some leftovers and you're a little suspicious as far as how long that food was left out, if it's bad, if it's not, if in doubt, toss it out. Gut issues are nothing to play with. Food poisoning is nothing to play with. All right, hopefully that helps and keeps everybody safe and happy at your summer barbecue. All right, a couple closing thoughts here. One, I want to make sure that you know you have access to fantastic resources, and that is the email list. So make sure you're subscribed to the parksidenutrition.com email list. You can subscribe at parksidenutrition.com or go straight to parksidenutrition.com/subscribe. And once you join that email list, you will get a email and you can get instant access to a huge library of resources, one of which I'm adding today, is 2 example menus for a traditional 4th of July barbecue. Rinse and repeat for all your summer barbecues if you would like, but it has a grocery list. It has a full menu set for 4 people. It also includes some whole food side and appetizer recommendations with a full macro breakdown so you can pick the higher protein, higher fiber, etc., whatever you want options on that list. A couple more tips and tricks to keep you feeling your best. And one of those menus is also a gluten and dairy-free barbecue. So whether you're gluten-free or dairy-free or someone attending might be, these are going to have some good options for serving those types of needs. It's also going to have the macro breakdown for that to, again, help you hit your protein goals, help you get enough fiber, etc., etc. The other thing it's going to come with is a whole list of proteins. So listing all the healthy protein options and plus how lean they are, so how much protein they give you for how much fat. And so if you have specific goals, this guide is really going to help you out in choosing the best protein for your particular goals, which is really, really helpful when we're planning our menus and options that we want available. So all of that is going to be free for you to download on the Free Shit Friday email list. It's actually going out a little bit earlier this week, but make sure you take advantage of that. Share with your friends. Make sure they are subscribed to the email list. And if you found this episode helpful, make sure you share, comment, leave a review if you feel so inclined. But I really appreciate you being here, and I just hope you guys have the best possible summer and best possible time at your summer barbecues. I do think you can eat the ribs and still respect your body and feel good without restrictions. It's just about having a little bit of know-how, a little bit of knowledge. Call it strategy if you want, but guilt doesn't need to be on the menu this year. You deserve to enjoy your food and feel amazing afterwards, and that's what I'm here for. If you have any questions or if I can help you out at any part in your health journey, please let me know. But otherwise, have a fantastic rest of your day, and thanks so much for being here.